Alright man, let's talk epic quality champions that absolutely slap in the arena, starting off with good old Gala Longbraids, she of the incredible hair, can I just say. My god, this champ, put her on a team that has a shield set or a bolster set, right? So she starts off the battle with a shield. Crucial that you keep Gala Longbraids shielded and at full health, and she dude, she just mulches big single target arena nuker. Before we cover the kit, I just want to mention that I do cover epic champs first in these videos before we get to things like legendaries, just because epic champions are much more accessible, right, than the legendary arena nukers. Legendary arena nukers, they're always going to do better than the epics, but epic champs can be a great stepping stone towards building something greater, as well as offering you a means to progress in other parts of the game as well, man. So, the A1 attacks one enemy 2 times. Already a double hit on the A1, pretty tight. Each hit will ignore 30% of the target's defense, places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns. The value of the shield is equal to 20% of the damage inflicted. So not a massive amount of shield here coming in. That said, it's quite the slap for an A1. Double hitter, ignoring defense, really can't be understated. The A2 gets a bit more serious, man. Attack one enemy will ignore 50% of the target's defense when attacking under a shield buff. Very crucial that she maintains that shield. Heals this champion by 50% of the damage inflicted and places a shield buff on this champ equal to any surplus healing for 3 turns. So quite the slap, bit more shield maintenance, good stuff. The A3 is where she becomes a real champ, right? The A3, this is what you want to be swinging in with first, right? Put someone else in your team in a bolster set or a shield set so that Gala is swinging in with full HP on round 1. Dude, attacks one enemy 3 times, each hit will ignore 25% of the defense. Grants an extra turn if this champ has full HP after using this skill. Man, so obviously this is where the bolster set on your teammate is going to come in. The shields on Gala are just going to help to ensure, or at least make it much more likely, that she is going to be at full HP when it comes her time to swing in with the A3. Absolutely blast is squishy out of the game with the A3, and then you get to swing in with the A2 immediately after and get even more shield. Dude, just a funky little champ. The fact that she's got a double hitter on the A2 as well, I don't know, multi-hitter on the A3, can she help out in normal mode Fire Knight a little bit to help get you started if your account is very early? I guess so. For the most part, however, Gala is going to be an arena progression style nuker. She doesn't offer that much, I don't think, throughout the rest of the game in terms of PvE content. As for gear, you're obviously going to want 100% crit, right? Cruel sets, savage sets, anything that helps to just ignore more defense, that kind of thing, and you can't go far wrong. In fact, most champs on this list, it's going to be cruel and savage style gear, so I won't be covering gear types for all of these champs. It feels a little bit redundant on a list like this. Next up, we venture into the Sylvan Watches to cover a less used arena nuker, but a good starting arena nuker if you do pull this guy fairly early. Mistrider Dathy, or Dithy. This guy is sweet into almost all normal styles of content. Great progression epic, and you might be noticing a pattern in this video already. I'm deliberately avoiding the slightly more obvious epic arena nukers, but we will get to those before the end of the video is done. We're just going to cover some of the more hipster picks for the time being, some of the more progression style picks, right? Mistrider Dithy, I actually want to start by covering this guy's A3, right? Because this is kind of a theme with good arena nuker epics. They have that self-buff, they bring these self-buffs and then grant themselves an extra turn. Very important stuff. It just frees up like things like the increase attack buff slot on the rest of your team. You don't have to worry about it. They're bringing it themselves. The extra turn is always lovely as well. So, place 50% increased attack buff and accuracy buff on this champion for 3 turns, then grant that extra turn. Very good. The increased accuracy is actually very important for Dithy. Even though he is an arena nuker, you will have to build him with a little bit of accuracy. This is going to help you hit those thresholds and make sure that your debuffs from your A2 are sticking, which is very important indeed for this champ in particular. So let's just jump straight to the A2. We're just going to do these in reverse order. Attacks all enemies, has a fully bugged 100% chance of placing strong version of decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Sadly, it's placing the debuff after the attack lands and not before. Little bit sad. He kind of be like, it would almost be like an epic quality A2, right, if he was landing this before swinging in. Very good. Sadly, that's not the case. However, he does have the extra benefit of grants an extra turn if a 60% decreased defense debuff is placed on all enemies by this skill. Now again, this guy I would consider to be a pretty solid progression epic because, I mean, you're not always going to be able to reliably land this in arena. When it comes off and you do land it and you get that extra turn, that's great. But you're not always going to be reliably able to do that, right? But if you do get the extra 10, then you get to swing in with the A1 as well. So you've got an A3 into A2, into the A1, And then you also have a 10% chance of granting this champ an extra turn on the A1 as well, which is just ridiculous, right? And of course, it also has a 50% chance of removing one random debuff from the target. Is the good old Mist Rider one of the best epic arena nukers in the game? I mean, probably not, but he has the advantage over the likes of Gala, who we just covered. He has the advantage of being pretty useful in most normal dungeon content. Hey man, this is a little bit of a weird place to slot a disclaimer into this video, but I've been playing Raid for like 3 and a bit months, and videos like this are my way of kind of keeping track of my studies, of my research, right? Trying to learn all of the solid champs in the game to keep an eye out for things like when you're pulling shards and stuff like that. So if you feel like I am missing any sweet epic arena nukers by the end of this video, make sure to go ahead and drop them down below in the comments, man. It would be awesome to make a part 2 of this video using your guys' suggestions. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? If you are also new to Raid Shadow Legends, or you're looking to just kickstart a fresh new Raid Shadow Legends account, make sure you do so by clicking on the promo link down below at the top of the video description to jumpstart your new account with a free epic champion and a whole bunch of starting freebies, man. Maybe you know a friend who wants to sign up. Maybe, just maybe, you're looking to start a new free-to-play adventure or something like that. That is the promo link with which to do it. And hey, if you haven't already, go ahead and input the good old promo code GAMELEAP to get yourself 1 free energy refill, 100,000 silver, and 10 free experience brews. Helps to support the channel, man. Would really appreciate it. Next absolute arena queen that we're going to be covering, man, is good old Alika. Man, this champ not only really solid single target damage, but an A3 that can absolutely change the game. In fact, I'm too excited. Let's jump straight into the A3, man, because this is kind of nutty. If you speed tune this gal out of control, really pump up the speed such that she's swinging in first. Dude, this A3 is kinda nuts, right? Attacks all enemies. We're talking a 3-turn cooldown, by the way. Should point that out too. 100% chance fully bucked of increasing the cooldowns of all enemy skills by 2 turns. Dude, if you get to swing in first with this, I mean, you just win the game. But she ain't just a one-trick pony either, man. The A1 attacks one enemy, 40% chance, 50% chance of placing an extra hit. This hit is always critical, which I mean, it should be anyway, right? You're probably going to be building her with 100% crit anyway, but there you go. And the A2 attacks one enemy, will ignore 50% of the target's defense if their max HP is higher than this champion's max HP. Oh my god. This is bookable down to a 2-turn cooldown? Like, what is this? Wow, okay. You don't often see that on any champ. 2-turn cooldowns? So hey man, when it comes to building Alika for Arena, you can go one of 2 ways with this. You can just make her into a, well, not like a full nuker. You still want to build her with some accuracy, surely, right? Because the A3 is just so valuable. But you can build her as just max speed, max accuracy, and just really focus on getting off the A3 and rely on somebody else to be dealing the bulk of the damage. That's the way that you can handle it, or you can lean into the damage and build her that way. How much utility does Alika have throughout the rest of the game? It's not the best. She can contribute quite a bit into Clan Boss, just because of just the raw damage that she's putting out, the extra hits on the A1, and of course the A2 ignoring defense if the enemy has more max HP, so she can get a little bit of use there, but for the most part, she's just going to be a little bit of an arena gimmick, but it's a job that she does really well, and should not be slept on. Alright man, that's it. I've had enough. It's time to get to one of the absolutely god tier epic champ nukers right now, and if you know anything about solid epic arena nukers, you already know that we are fit to click on Genbo the Dishonored. This guy, he might be the best epic arena nuker in the game. That might be, he's at least in the top 3. Okay, let's just cover his kit, goddammit. The A3, increase crit rate and increase crit damage buff on this champion for 3 turns, then grant that crucial extra turn. So you can already see you only have to build him with 70% crit rate. He takes care of the rest with the A3, which is awesome if you have to build a champ with only 70% crit. Those stats can go into other things like crit damage, for example. The A2 attacks all enemies, 100% chance of decreasing the duration of all buffs by 1 turn. This effect cannot be resisted on critical hits. Dude. So while you might normally have to build a champ like this with accuracy, Genbo, he don't give a damn, okay? His one skill that requires accuracy, I think, blah, 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 blah. Okay, no, never mind. His A1 requires a little bit of accuracy, but honestly, it's not that important, okay? For me, if I was building Genbo as an arena nuker, I'd just build him with 100% crit and just 0 accuracy and just put all of the stats into damage. That's how I would handle it. The A1 attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit steals increased attack buffs. Each hit also has a 30% chance of stealing 1 random buff. So it's only just this little effect here, this 30% chance of stealing a random buff that you could build him with some accuracy for. But yeah, screw it. I just ignore that, man. Where's the fun in accuracy, man? Who even likes accuracy? You know what I'm saying? Nobody. Exactly. The passive, immune to decreased attack debuffs, will ignore unkillable buffs when attacking under an increased attack buff. So, the one caveat with Genbo, I guess the two, build him with 100% crit. That's obviously crucial for like any nuker, I suppose. And make sure that he's on a team with an increased attack buffer. That's it. Have fun. Just checking out Genbo's ratings real quick, man, and comparing them to where Hell Hades has in place, because this Spider's Den rating seems a little low, just given how much damage he can pump out. Very, very solid AoE attack. Not the best into Spider, of course, but a 3.5? Really? Really, dude? And I mean, Hell Hades has him at a 3.5 as well, but a 3.5 on Hell Hades is worth much more than a 3.5 in-game. If that makes sense, 3.5 is low for an in-game review score. I do agree, however, with Magic Keep. He can do a good amount of work for you in there as well, peeling off that buff. The big old shield buff from the boss, that is, has a little bit of limited use outside of that, to be honest, outside of Arena, but yeah, he will give you just ridiculous, ridiculous value in Arena, and he's worth building for that alone, unless, of course, you have something better in the form of a Lego. Now from Genbo to a champ that might be a bit more controversial to put on this list, but I think that Durandal could be worth building for some accounts, man. I'm going to try and make a case for this guy. He's not exactly a renowned arena nuker, but he can do that job for you, as well as helping you out progress in various other areas of the game. With that said, let's start off with his A1. It's an attack one enemy 2 times each hit, with a 20% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. You can see where I'm going with this. This chance increases to 30% on each critical hit. So, actually 30% chance of placing that freeze debuff. Not bad at all if you are looking to kind of unlock hard mode Fire Knight. Is he the best champion into hard mode Fire Knight, where you need to be landing as many freeze debuffs on that boss as humanly possible, as well as multi-hitters? Not really. It's only double hitter. It's only 30% chance to apply the freeze. Not super, super effective, but enough to at least get you started, right? A good progression epic. But we ain't here to cover that gosh darn PvE content. Let's get into the A2. Attacks all enemies, will ignore 15% of each target's defense. So not the biggest defense ignorer, if that could be a word, on the A2. Also fills this champion's turn meter by 10% on each crit, so this guy obviously benefits a lot from crit. 100% crit rate, again, it's just a given. As far as A2s go when it comes to arena nukers, not bad. It's not just an attack all enemies and 10 meter fill. It does have a little bit of defense ignorance. Dude, I'm just mincing sentences right now, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's not bad. The A3, sadly, it's not a self buffer. Well, it is a self buffer, but it's not bolstering his attack damage. It's not granting him an extra turn, which is why he's not exactly an ideal arena nuker, but he can do the job for you if you are lacking. That's all I'm saying, okay? I'm squeezing him on the list because I think that he's an interesting pick. Might be a little bit underrated. Anyways, the A3 is actually attacks one enemy, will ignore 50% of the target's defense, so pretty solid single target slap. Places a perfect veil buff on this champion for 2 turns if the hit is critical, which it damn well will be. And yeah, just helps to make good old Durandal a little bit more survivable. Is he worth a spot on this list? I don't know. I mean, he's definitely a tier below the other epic champs that we're covering here, but as far as an epic that you might want to hold on to anyway, and might want to build out and max out anyway, as an arena nuker for a little while, and then kind of retire him and just keep him in the vault and keep him ready to just help you out to get started with hard mode Fire Knight, it could be a champ worth holding on to. That's all I'm saying, okay? Next up, we've got an epic champ that, dude, I'm excited to cover because I've got one. Dude, I managed to pull myself a Magna about a week ago. I've been building him out, and yeah, he is on his way to 60. I'm going to be doing a more dedicated video to celebrate Magna's success, or what I hope is going to be success in my arena teams in the coming days, and it's going to be awesome. Let's talk about his kit. Why is Magna one of the best epic arena nukers in the game, if not the best? Let's be real, man. Dude, I'm just gonna get straight to it. It's really all about the SU, okay? Attacks all enemies, places an extra hit on enemies without HP burn debuffs. Dude, this skill slaps, dude. Claps cheeks, it's unbelievably good. And dude, when I first pulled Magna, I was looking at his skills. Okay, he's got like some debuff spread. If the enemy has an HP burn debuff, increases the duration of HP burn on this A3, you know, and then blah blah. I was reading through all of his skills. Maybe I could make an HP burn buff, like debuff style team or something, you know. I can make it work like that. And like all of you guys in the comments, dude, just use him in arena, man. What are you doing? Like, it's all about the A2, man. And you guys are absolutely right. Yeah, this A2 is crazy as hell. Yeah, it's really just what the champ is all about. Cruel set, savage set, just get him hitting as hard as possible. I actually have him built out in some Slayer pieces, just because I have some pretty damn good quality Slayer pieces, so that's the way that I'm handling it. But I don't think that too much more has to be said about Magna. What's really cool about him as well, though, is that he is an HP-based champion, so you can actually just build him to be crazy, crazy survivable and tanky, while still doing stupendous amounts of damage. And so, yeah, that's Magna, man. He might have a name like a Pokemon, but he absolutely claps. And so once again, we are yo-yoing between the crazy, crazy, like, best, like, cream of the crop, best epic arena nukers, to some that are just a bit more controversial, that, I don't know, maybe they belong on this list, maybe they don't. It's gonna be Dark Elhain, man. So Dark Elhain, I believe that she's a very, very niche arena nuker, and that's because she really flourishes against a very specific kind of team. But I think it's worth covering just because it's so funny anyway. If you are playing into a team that has Tormen, okay, I think it's like a dwarf legendary, that freezes your entire team at the start of the round, then Dark Elhain is your gal, right? So the A1 attacks one enemy, destroys the target's max HP by 30% of the damage inflicted. I mean, meh. The A2 place a 50% increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns, then attacks all enemies. So she brings that good old self buff that we know and love, has a 50% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns on all enemies that were smacked across the face. Not the best attack all, like style A2 on the list that we've covered so far, but also not bad, right? You can't underestimate the value of having that strong increased attack buff on the self buff like that. But why is Dark Elhain such an awesome Torment counter? Well, let's get to that now, man. Passive. Fill this champion's turn meter by 25% and instantly activates Death's Majesty, which is a A2, by the way, her attack all skill. Whenever this champion or an ally receives a freeze debuff, so she just counterattacks immediately with the attack all against Torment and any other freeze champ. And her second passive instantly removes any freeze debuffs on this champion and replace them with an increased crit rate buff, increased crit damage, and 15% strengthen buff whenever an enemy places a freeze debuff on this champ. Dude, now this is more of just like a meme placement, I guess, on the list. Do people actually build Dark Elhain to be like their dedicated arena nuker? Do they build her out just for that fact? Like, how many Torments are you really going to be running into, you know? How much value are you going to get from this? Probably not that much, but it's still, it's just funny. I don't know, man. So screw it. I'm putting it on the list because I think that it's funny. That's it. I don't have to explain myself any more than that. And last but not least, man, how could we not cover our gal, Skullcrown? Well, she's not my gal. I don't have her on my account. I ain't that lucky, but this, again, is another top-tier arena nuker. What's her scores like? Okay, yeah, I mean, obscenely good. Can help out quite a lot as well in normal Spider at a minimum. I'm not sure where else she'd be grand. Faction Wars is obviously a given, just because she has so many attack alls. Speaking of which, let's start with the A1, man. Attacks all enemies. Place an extra hit, god damn it, if the target has more than 50% HP. Lovely, lovely stuff right off of the get-go. The A2 attacks all enemies again. On a 3-turn cooldown, by the way, has a 75% chance bucked of placing a strong weaken debuff for 2 turns. Already really good. She obviously needs some support in the form of like increased attack buffs and decreased defense on your opponents if possible and things like that. But yeah, she slaps. Everything's an AoE. Weaken is great. Also pretty solid is the potency of her aura, which is an increased ally speed in arena battles by, oh, I thought it was 25. Okay, 23% is still pretty gosh darn solid, to be honest. And of course, her passives. Okay, this gal is survivable as hell, dude. Places an unkillable buff on this champion for 1 turn every time the HP drops below 20%. So if she doesn't quite die, she ain't dying. As for the second passive, I actually, dude, I'm just gonna confess, I haven't actually looked up how decent Sinesha is or isn't. But if you have a Sinesha on your team and she's alive, then you always revive this champion with 30% HP on death. Insane. Well, you don't always. Okay, fully booked is a 6-turn cooldown. Always is a bit much. But still, extremely exceptionally survivable stuff. Sinesha, I have no idea if she's worth kind of stowing into the team as well, along with the Skullcrown. Even if you don't have Sinesha, this is just a very, very good arena nuker kit. So that is going to be all, man, for this list. Make sure to hit like on this video if you did get a little bit of something from it, and of course make sure to drop a comment down below with any sweet, epic, or even rare arena nukers. That'd be kind of interesting too. Any epic or rare arena nukers that you feel people are sleeping on that actually clap cheeks. And yeah, that I could include in a follow-up video to this one where we really cover the rest of the best. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure if you're looking to start a new raid account, do so by clicking on the promo link down below at the top of the video description. For now, do enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm going to catch all of you guys just a tad bit later, man.